So Dan, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. This idea of interviewing people started with, I don't know, I don't even know why, if I had a dream about it or, I was talking to one of the instructors about this thing. I said, well, it would be nice if you could, get to know other people from the other point of view, because now that I'm teaching, classes online, we're having more time to talk to the students about other things, about stories. And we brought some guys from Israel to talk about Krav Maga. We got guys from US and from all over the place that can add a little bit more to the story. I mean, in classes, as you know, you walk in, people train for an hour and a half, they walk out and that's it. Perhaps don't see them for a week. So now with the online training, it gives us a different side of it because we're spending more time talking than ever now. It's fantastic. The fact that you're recording the sessions also, people can watch this later. So I guess that content that we are supposed to create back in the day, when we had the opportunity to do that, we didn't do it because we're too busy teaching classes going from A to B. Now we're having the time because now we're recording everything here. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I'm not sure. But
yeah, it's always my plan to create video content, and I've been threatening it for God knows years, and get a good following with the video content and stuff like that, but just never got the time. Just dipped the toe every now and again, made a little video, but it never really went anywhere. So it is the perfect time now, but we say it's the perfect time, but I don't think I've ever been busier.
Yeah.
I've just moved into a new house right in the middle of all this COVID. We've got a bit of a project here. We're doing almost every room up in the house. So you might get a bit of banging from above because we're socially distancing with the builder at the minute. He's got his own room doing that up.
Wow.
So it's still hard work getting this content out, but it's got to be done at the moment. So.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is we are busy in certain areas. We are not so busy in the other ones. People are not working. People are sitting at home. But then you don't have that hour and a half commute into London, or perhaps another hour and a half back. And the fact that you're there 8 hours a day, but perhaps not very productive. You're there because you need to go to work. You know what I mean? So your mind is not there. You're thinking about Krav Maga. You're thinking about your holiday. You're thinking about other stuff. So now we can focus a little bit more. We can do things when we want to do things. Because my thing is to wake up early and then what are we going to do today? I don't know. Let's check the tomato trees and let's paint the fence again. Let's cut the grass once again. So it's pretty much going to that routine. But one thing is for sure, come 7 p.m., we're going to be teaching Krav Maga for, an hour and a half. So I guess you're in the same sort of a thing. I mean, how are you running your classes? As we were discussing this a little bit earlier, we're talking about live classes, talk about recorded, pre-recorded sessions.
Yeah, so at the moment we're doing 2 live classes a week. Well, 2 days. There's 2 classes within those days. So we do one for the kids, that's first. And then we normally have a little break, 15 minutes break on one day, and then we roll straight into the teens and the adults and we do a class for those. And then on the other day, we just go straight through kids. The kids drop off, then the adults continue to train. So yeah, 2 live sessions. They're half hour each. So it's an hour for both of those live sessions, 2 hours in total. And we're doing the vlogs, so 3 vlogs a week. We tend to keep the video content to about 20 minutes, but the workouts are about 45 minutes long. So we're giving people the opportunity to go back and look at the video vlogs and keep replaying them and work on the fundamentals.
Right.
Nothing better than training on the fundamentals at the moment. So it's all back to footwork, movement, that sort of thing. The stuff that sometimes we go a little bit past to keep it all exciting, but we maybe neglected it a little bit. So it's really good. Really enjoy different footworks at the minute.
Let me take you back a little bit, because we've known one another for many years now. We've been training together for many years. But for people who are watching this video 20 years and ahead, looking back and laughing about the time we had to spend so many weeks at home, tell us about you. I mean, your background in terms of martial arts and whatever you want to talk about in there.
Well, yeah, I'll start right from the beginning. So as a kid, sort of 5, 6 years old, started doing sort of martial arts, but never really sort of took to one. I had a lot of mates that boxed, so I went in and out of the boxing gym with those guys. Did some judo, trained that for a little while. Got my ass kicked by loads of people there. Yeah, moved on from there. Did a bit of jiu-jitsu here and there. So I've kind of been in and out of it for ages. And then I stepped away from it for quite some time and started doing weights, and I was more into the fitness side of things. Came back from well, the story of getting into Krav Maga then, so that brought me onto the story of Krav Maga. So in and out of martial arts, lots of different clubs, lots of different disciplines when I was younger. Sort of went away from that, got into the bodybuilding, the training, the fitness side of it then. And then I was training with a friend, so I was dipping back into a bit of MMA, martial arts with one of my friends. And I went for a breakfast with him one morning. I was like, where are you off to? He's like, oh, I'm going off doing this training. I was like, oh, okay. What's that then? And he didn't tell me. So I kept trying to get it out of him for a little bit. So what's this cool thing that you're doing? And then it's obviously Krav Maga. So I was like, oh, bring me along. He was like, yeah, all right. So he took me along to a session. And that was in the early days when I was training with the Institute with you guys.
Wow.
Down my neck of the woods, down in Kent. So we went along, we had a training session, and then I fell in love with it. I was like, this is the one for me. And then since then, that's really pretty much where my training is, where the passion is. But I still go away and dip my toe in martial arts all over the place, different disciplines, and train with different people personally to try and bring my skill set up. But Krav Maga is the one for me, really.
Very interesting. And the idea of becoming an instructor, when that, when you start thinking, hold on a second, I can do this. I like teaching people because we deal with the most complicated merchandise on the planet, which are the human beings, isn't it? I normally call it merchandise because we can call it anything else, but let's be nice with ourselves, huh?
Yeah, well, the plan was never to become an instructor, never to be a coach. Always down the sort of selfish route. Just I want to train fitness. I want to train however many times a week I want to train, and it's for me. And when I first started Krav Maga, I was a completely different person. So it's not just my ability to execute Krav Maga techniques or my skill set as a martial artist. It's brought me on maybe as a human being as well a little bit. So I can sit and have a discussion with people. I can enjoy people's company. Whereas when I first started Krav Maga, when I first come back to Krav Maga, I was kind of, I didn't really like to socialize with people very much. I was kind of my own person. I did my own thing, and so coaching was never part of my plan.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
So relating with people wasn't really my thing. I was only into number one, really, to be fair. And the never judge a book by its cover. That was typically me. Yeah, I would not like anyone, and then all of a sudden my mind would be changed after a period of time, and I'd be like, oh, I really like this guy. I become best mates with them. So I was never that guy. But since I started training Krav Maga and mixing with people, it made me a different human. And now I like to sort of converse with anyone, and I like to listen to their story.
Well, I found amazing. You mentioned Krav Maga a few times, but you have the same thing with MMA, with Jiu-Jitsu, Judo. Every time you put someone in a choke and you make the guy pass out, you create some kind of a connection. You go, I like this guy, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Punch in the face, kick in the groin. But Krav Maga specifically, because you said that a couple of times, is anything that ring a bell or anything specific with that? Or just it was the right time, perhaps the right age, and then in one day you just realize, okay, that's it. I want to do it.
Maybe it was coming of age a little bit, to be honest. Yeah, maybe that with a combination of the Krav Maga. I find when you go into most MMA gyms to start off with, you get the sort of the looks. Who's this guy? Blah, blah, blah. So it's not. But when you go into a Krav Maga sort of setting, everyone's like, "Oh, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. It's a completely different feel. I quite like that.
Interesting.
Well, I like both, really. I like putting myself in that position where you turn up and you're like, "Hey, shit, who's this guy?" Or yeah. But in terms of socializing and networking, I found that the Krav Maga was the one. But like you said, could completely be the coming of age sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting because sometimes people go through all the martial art training because someone in the family has pushed you, especially as a kid. You go there, come on, you go and train because this will be good for you. But you don't actually want to do that. And then after a few years, people normally they give up, they go away, and then they grow a little bit. They find themselves sometimes, in sticky situations, and they realize, okay, I think I need to go back because I need to do that now because I wanted to do that. So then you see them improving and growing as a martial artist or as a person, very quick. It's very interesting to see that. Oh, very nice. So you became, from when you started training Krav Maga to when you became an instructor, how long was that?
I think it was around like 4 years.
4 years. Oh, very good.
Just over 4 years, maybe. No, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. About 4 years.
Good take. It's nice to. Yeah, sometimes we don't pay attention to that timeline, but there's a lot of experience there. The growing, the training, the practicing, getting to know people, and so on. Okay, so I think yeah, I remember that. So I remember your instructor's course. I remember after that what happened, and the idea from teaching classes, and then one day realizing, I'll tell you what, let me open my own thing. Let me create my little community, bring my people together there. When that took place.
Yeah, so if we go back again, so the plan was, I'm never going to teach Krav Maga. I'm always going to be a student. I like the thought of always being a student. And then I got to a point where it was like, you know how it goes. You're in the pool with the new guys, and then there's not so many guys, and then a few more years there's even less guys, and then you find that, okay, really to better myself, I need to go down the route of being a coach. So, and then a few people put that sort of idea in my head. So I thought, yeah, and there's no better way to really learn techniques and to learn the art of Krav Maga than coaching it and knowing all those small checkpoints and the whole system. So that's what I thought. So I went from that point of, I'm never going to be the coach, to, okay, I like the idea of the coach. Then it was like, I'm never going to train kids. So I'm only ever going to train adults. I don't want to train kids. That's not my thing. And then after another few years of coaching and doing that, I thought, well, let's try it. Let's try. And is coaching the same for kids? Obviously, it's not. You've got to have a whole new level, a whole new skill set to be able to deliver that training to the kids and get them to absorb the knowledge and be able to execute it. So then that was the next step in my progression. I thought, well, I can teach the adults now. Let's give it a go with the kids. And for every stage, so student, never going to be a coach, absolutely love coaching. Coaching adults, never going to train kids, absolutely love training the kids now. It's a completely different energy as well. So you kind of absorb that energy when you're training. And then from there, it's kind of the next progression once the club starts growing was to get my own facility. I didn't want to be, taking equipment to different locations all around the place, sort of satellite locations all around Southeast Kent. So it's like, let's look for a premises and let's try and build something. Let's try and build a home for everyone. And that's what we did.
And you guys have really been through the first 12 months or even more than that? It's been, what, a year and a half?
With the training center?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty much 2 years now.
Wow. Very good.
Yeah, pretty much 2 years. So
yeah,
I started Krav Maga in 2012.
Very nice.
So it's 8 years to get where we are today.
Yeah, well, you remember I sent you some kind of article. It talks about the 7 years, from the first 7 years as a child and eventually every 7 years. So there we go. If you go back to that thing and you read it again, you're going to go, oh, wait a minute. Now there's certain understanding about this 7-year period, which is fantastic. I'm fascinated with this kind of stuff. Very nice. So we had the chance to travel to Israel. Hey, that place. So funny enough, we almost didn't have the chance to get out of Israel then.
The COVID refugees.
So it was the weirdest week ever. I mean, from all my trips to Israel, that one was crazy because we are like every day, is it going to happen today? We have to go home. Are they closing the country? Are the planes are still flying? How are we going to go home? So we even have people in our group that decided to pack everything on the first day and go home. We're not going to say anything. No names. We know who it is. Yeah. And so what was the first week there? I mean, it was weird. I mean, as much as I talk about the experience, as much as I want to take people there to experience the whole thing and meet all the guys, that one, it wasn't on my plans to. Do
you know what? I wouldn't have done it any differently. I love it. Completely mad. I mean, I've been away all over the place for different Krav Maga events or different martial arts events. Poland, Israel now. Travel around the UK quite often, go and see different martial artists in the UK. Where else have I been? I've been to quite a number of places now, so none of them have had they've all got a story about them. There's always something to come back to mention, some crazy story. There's always a crazy person or a crazy event that's gone on, but this one was for the history books.
This was at the top of the list.
Definitely something else. There was something every day, like a flight getting changed or something being cancelled or some other airline going bust. It was crazy. And what were we? my flight, you went out there a bit before me, but my flight, me and a couple of other guys that came over, we were literally the last flight into Israel before they were quarantining people. So as we was in the air, the Ministry of Health made the decision that anyone into Israel from this point is getting quarantined. So as soon as I landed, my phone was going bang, bing, bing, bing. Everyone like, "You all right, Dan? How you doing?" Joe was calling me.
I just panicked
I
because
was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be locked somewhere for 14 days and miss the training session anyway." But we managed to just sneak out the airport.
yeah, when you guys were up in the air about an hour, that thing came up, and then it was like, okay, they still have 4 hours to get here. So what's going to happen? They're going to turn the planes around and send them back to the UK. It's going to be crazy, isn't it? Crazy, but it might happen. But no, everything worked out fine. So we had a good experience. We had a few days training there. The weather was okay. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
Looking
it was
forward.
really good.
I keep
I
joking.
really enjoyed it.
I had plans to cycle to Israel, but after this one, I might ended up walking to Israel just to make sure that I get there. It doesn't matter if it takes me 2 months to get there. But very nice. So what is the plan?
My airline?
Yeah, say again.
That was my airline at one point. They sent me an email saying, "Oh yeah, we've cancelled your flight, but don't worry, we've put on another flight for you. It's going from Greece." So how am I there then?
Yeah, I had the same thing. I had to swim across the Mediterranean to get to Greece, and then from there we'll fly home. Yeah, it was a funny one. Regarding the club now, because everybody keeps talking about the fact that we're going to be allowed on the street on X, Y, Z month, and everything is going to go back to normal. From your point of view, are we going to have any normality on this thing here? Because from my point of view, for instance, I hire venues in central London. Might be the case once we allow on the street, the business will sort of get the green lights to reopen. Those venues are not going to be there because they might not be able to take the impact of being closed for so many months. I'm not sure. I ended up having to teach Krav Maga in Hyde Park somewhere, or Central London, Trafalgar Square, open like the old Kung Fu masters.
Yeah.
With you is different because you have a venue, you have a space, so you guys will be able to go back. But we're not sure because we haven't received any guidelines regarding what to do and how to do it. It's pretty much up in the air. We guess, we believe, we imagine this will happen. So, you have any plans? You ready to start?
Everybody's in the short term. I can't see it going. In the short term, I can't see us going back in a full sort of combative capacity, working as pairs, drilling, different training techniques and stuff like that. I just can't see it happening in the short term. And I suppose we're all fighting our own battles. So you're reliant upon the clubs, whether they're going to come back after the people with venues, if they're going to come back after this pandemic. And we're kind of in a different boat, whereas we've got some massive overheads that we've still got to pay whilst we're in this position. And will we get back after this pandemic? I mean, we're doing everything we can to be able to do it, and I foresee that we will, but it's going to be hard. And we're looking at different measures to put into play so we can get guys back as quick as possible. But we're in kind of a grey area at the moment, so because we're not a gym really, or are we? We're kind of like a school. When are they going back? So I mean, we can maintain social distancing with a lot of the stuff that we do, and we're looking at getting lots of different equipment. So ground and pound dummies, wrestling dummies, judo dummies, jiu-jitsu dummies, all that sort of thing, all sorts of inventive ways to still train and keep social distancing happening. So as soon as we can, as soon as we get the green light, we're going to be going for it, and we're going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I found it interesting because to allow people to go back to a gym, for instance, let's not think about martial arts, but as a gym, as a general place, what you're going to do, you're going to ask people to stand in one treadmill here, missing one, another one. Okay, there is a gap between people, but then they're going to meet in the changing room after that. So, you know what I mean? It's like those very restaurants where the guys in front are wearing white gloves, but the guy in the kitchen is spitting on your dish there. It's pretty much that kind of analogy now, yeah. It's a weird one.
Yeah, it is a weird one. But we've been checking out every sort of different capacity in which we can come back. And lucky for us, we can still maintain the sort of online live content that we're doing that people are enjoying because they're stuck at home and they really want to get into their training and come back with a different skill set.
Right.
So we've got that on our side. But yeah, I can't see us going back in a full sort of combative capacity, ground fighting and striking, sparring, that sort of thing for quite some time. Can you?
Interesting, man. Very interesting. Well, I'll have to find a way. Are you there? I think you dropped.
Yeah,
Oh, you're there.
still
Okay. Sorry,
here.
my screen to change here. Everybody change positions. Um, okay. Yeah. So that will be very interesting. Perhaps a combination between online training and physical training will be the way forward. The thing is, we don't have a book. We are writing the book here, as we had to learn teaching online classes. One day the microphone wasn't working. The next day it was an echo. The next day the camera's pointing to the ceiling instead of you. And I've learned here a lot of it. So.
Yeah, we still suffer that now. I'm forever doing something, or I've got some feedback in my ear or something when I'm training. How are you finding the online stuff? I find that I'm putting in even more work and burning more calories on the live classes than I ever have done in a class. Even if I'm sort of teaching, most of the time I'm teaching a good 3-4 hours sometimes every night of the week, 7 days a week. But I'm finding it just as tiring doing these live classes.
Yep. No, I feel the same. The reason why in the beginning I've started with half an hour sessions instead of an hour and a half, because I thought if I have to teach hour and a half for the white and yellow belts, another hour and a half for the orange to green and purple, and then another hour and a half for the brown belts, I'll be dead. I wouldn't survive a month doing this. So then, yes, then we drop to half an hour each class, so we can still do an hour and a half. If people want to train for the three classes, 1.5 hour a day, they can still do that. And we do it Monday to Friday. So on the weekend, they can watch any other Joe, whatever the name of the other guy is, the one with the long hair. Anyway, yeah, we don't mention that. We don't mention that.
Yeah, I'm always giving him a little
Not
bit.
the Joe, the other Joe, yeah. Anyway, so then people can do whatever they want there. And also in between, we are bringing this kind of a content, these interviews that can add perhaps for people that's been training with us for a while that never had the chance to meet you, or if they did, it was very quickly in a grade, in a pre-grading, on an instructor training session or something. The opportunity to find out, okay, I think this guy thinks the same way I do, or vice versa. So we brought guys from Israel that been teaching Krav Maga in the last 20 years of the IDF, and clinical psychologists, and bring us different points and approaches. So yeah, that's becoming this big learning curve. The question.
Yeah, when I saw you was doing it, I've been watching from afar. I haven't had the time to join any of them yet, but I think that was a really great idea, and a lot of the people that you've interviewed, I really want to listen to what they've been talking about. So I can go back into the recordings at some point, Joe. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's the good thing. Everything we've done is recorded, so I'm keeping everything there. So now I've got a guy that's going to be putting all this on YouTube, so people can go there and have a look at YouTube channel. Because on my personal one, I had 2 followers. Now I have 4 people already following me there. So,
yeah, we all neglected YouTube, didn't we? We might be able to get away with that at some point. Not easy to get them followers there, though, is it?
No, there are too many people following us there, but not too close, because we are Krav Maga practitioners. So be careful. Don't come too close with my elbow in the face. Well, interesting. So what is the plan? I mean, once, do you have any plans for the future? How are you going to run this thing? How are you going to expand? Do you have plans to have more schools, or are you going to focus in one place and try to get that one?
Well, the plan is obviously more schools for us. But in the short term, we want to get it to full capacity in the gym that we're in, utilising apps and making sure all classes are full before we start looking at other venues, other locations. But that being said, whenever I'm out driving around here, I'm looking at different locations and like, oh, that's got a bit more space in that one. Let me have a look at that. How much is that? And so you never know. I never know what the future holds for us, but the intention is if we could potentially get more locations, more locations, bigger venues, more equipment, just keep growing. At the minute, we're starting from the bottom up, so we've started growing our instructor team. We've got quite a number of instructors now. We're growing the kids instructor team, and we've done some kids instructor courses. That's growing. We was just at the point where we was going to set that in motion, and then we got hit with the COVID. So we'll get back to that, and we'll start growing again post that. And yeah, big things to come, hopefully.
Yeah, it was funny because all the plans we had for the future had to put in standby and sort of fight the fires now and try to get things moving and going. We perhaps no, I keep saying to everyone, we initially had X number of students. We lost half of it in the very first month with people to panic, cancel the memberships. I'm moving away. I lost my job. I'm going back to my parents' house and stuff like that. The other half is stuck with us. They are there watching classes. We're still going on strong with the membership, helping us keep things going. And so as soon as, I guess we have more the freedom to meet people again, we have to perhaps start with a smaller group. So we cannot have the usual 25 people in a class like we had in the past. So it might be,
Yeah, we've been,
and the lesson planning will have to be perhaps changed a little bit. But there's no way you can plan a lesson against defense against chokes if people are going to be choking you. Perhaps using a mask and a pair of gloves, it's going to be a bit of a weird,
yeah,
training session. But hey,
put a positive spin on that mask. At least a bit of restricted oxygen. They're going to have to train like that.
yeah, that's it. So put earplugs and goggles, and then we are talking about fighting with limitations.
Yeah. Done whole seminars on that. I'm sure we can get a good few months out of that one.
For sure. Yeah. And the other thing is, with Krav Maga, we keep running workshops. Back in many years ago, we used to have like every now and then a workshop, defend against the knife attacks. So that was a specific workshop, 3 or 4 hours. And then we had another one, defend against the stick attacks. And then eventually the gun threats. But this was when the club was small. We didn't have many brown belts or black belts and so on. But then after all these years now, all those techniques became part of a normal lesson. So it's kind of a tricky to run a workshop like that because people just look at you very weird. It's like, why would I attend something like that? Because I can do this every day in classes. So how do you find coming up with ideas to come up with new ways of perhaps teach the same thing, but in a different package? Because then people go, oh, I want to do that. It's 3 hours, one side of my nose blocked, and I'm going to be punching, kicking, breathing through one side of my nostrils. Yes, you do this every day, but because we are, backing this thing up in a different perspective, now people are more interested in.
Well, so how do we repackage it?
Yeah.
I tend to not repackage it. I do and I don't. I like to go away and train with as many different people as possible. So hence the reason why you come down and train me monthly and my instructors. Hence the way I go away and do lots of different martial arts with lots of different disciplines, lots of different coaches. So go away, Israel, this sort of thing. So I'm always looking to find new techniques. As you know, we kind of go away, exactly like you say, fly all the way to Israel and pretty much see the same sort of techniques that we've been doing for years and years and years. But there's always a different take, a slightly different spin on it, or something that you can add. Always looking to sort of add a little bit to the game and then reinvent that, take that back to the class, and that's how we do it. I'll tend to, what I have done in the past, like we did that seminar with Peter Irvin. Some of your guys came down. Prior to that, I did sort of some MMA seminars as well as the Krav Maga, so a bit of both. But I went away and did a week's training with a few friends up in Newcastle, learned some new content, brought it back down and teach my guys it. So we keep it fresh. We try and keep it fresh.
That's interesting. Your approach is different. You're more open to all the martial arts because you have your place where you don't only teach only Krav Maga, but we focus on Krav Maga and Krav Maga only. If I tell you if you want to do BJJ, this is not the club for you. We work on specific self-defense from that point of view. But of course, as you expanded to teach kids and teenagers and different age groups, of course, you need to have different content there.
We kind of, I'll go away and we've got the kind of the Bruce Lee mentality around it. So we kind of absorb what's useful and discard what's not, and then make something completely our own, that sort of mindset. So that's why I'm always off to other places. But at the end of the day, what's underpinning it all is self-defense and Krav Maga.
Very
and
interesting.
if it's not going to work in real life, then we'll tend to not drill it or train it in class.
Interesting. And what I like the fact that your mindset is from the beginning is very simple. You're building little champions. You're working with whatever the group age is, 5, 6, 7. But this guy's going to be training for 10 years. And then eventually, become the, 17, 18 years old, where, might be joining the army or might be becoming Krav Maga instructors. So there's a lot of guidance and that mentoring there. So do you have a specific program of that, or this just happened by coincidence, if you like, or law of attraction, if you like?
Yeah, it's kind of a law of attraction thing. And learning martial arts kind of blends itself to mentoring children and bringing them up. Sometimes kids that have trained with us for, only a couple of weeks, their parents have come in and said that they've seen a complete different mindset shift in my child. And we're like, sometimes I always question myself, well, how come they've seen such a massive difference when all we've done is train them some martial arts? So some of it is literally the discipline, the structure, it completely shifts their mindset. But we also kind of follow a program, so they'll follow, you know, the curriculum of techniques that we deliver from sort of yellow belt all the way up. But wider than that, we're always teaching them sort of mindset and positive thinking, and we do lots of different workshops for them. Not so much seminars, but workshops where we'll have them in over the holidays, and we'll build different workshops about self-confidence, and we'll make the guys stand up and deliver presentations in front of people, and we score each other, give them feedback. So we're just trying to grow them in every element, really.
Very nice. We were talking about with another guy the other day, Phil Highland. He's an expert, you know, mindset coaching and things like that. And he was talking about exactly like that. He had issues in the past until one day when he met his mentor, teaching some workshop regarding confidence and things like that. And then he just went like, oh, I related to all of that. And I found it very interesting to the point now, this is what he's doing today. So there's this guidance from the beginning sometimes is something the kids don't have, because they, you know, the parents are doing, you know, as much as they can based on what information they receive from their parents, which might not be 100%. So now they are trying to raise a child, but perhaps something is missing. Perhaps they don't have the time to spend with a kid. Perhaps the fitness side is missing. Perhaps the kid is developing all the ways, you know, physical, mentally. And then when they join a bunch of other kids with an instructor such as you, such as your team, there, they you know, oh, this is it. I have someone telling me what to do and why, and I can see the benefits. And of course, this is going to reflect back to the parents, which then will see, well, you know, whatever these guys are doing over there is doing a very great job. So let's continue.
Yeah, we've got a great sort of mix of coaches as well. So some have got more martial arts experience than others. They're all really good. But we've also got a life coach that was coaching with us. So I've got a bit of mentoring off of them before in the past, and vice versa. We've got sort of guys that have paved the way in the military as well that train. So we've got lots of quite inspirational coaches around us in our team that can help build these kids up, as well as the adults.
Interesting. Wow. It's very different. See, we were talking to Matt Fox the other day, my former business partner. In the beginning, he used to, you know, literally put a pair of boxing gloves, stand in front of one another. And the session today, we're going to try to make one another bleed. And that was pretty much it. We will punch and kick until someone will, okay, that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week again. Bye-bye. That was pretty much the approach with Krav Maga training, you know, many years ago. So now what you're saying is something completely different, way more advanced, improved, and with the different, you know, the guidance is there. So I guess people.
Yeah, it's sort of like a holistic way of coaching someone and bettering someone. So not just in the self-defense skills, because you need the mindset to go with it as well.
Fantastic, phenomenal stuff. Okay, let me just ask the question everybody wants to ask. How many tattoos do you have? Yeah, see, everybody's laughing.
There's this thing. I saw this meme the other day. How many tattoos do you have? 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, or 10 plus? I've got 10 plus, but you can't count. I can't count them anymore. They blend into one.
They become one big thing now.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many I've got. I probably had about, I don't know, 20 or 30, and then they became one big one.
Wow. Do you remember which one was the first one?
Yeah, I haven't got it anymore. I had to get it covered up.
Wow.
I walked into a tattoo shop at about 15 years old, I think, and got one. And my parents said to me, "You'll regret that." And within 2 years, I had it covered.
You don't have one of those that does a little heart and it goes Julia, and then there's a crossover, and then Sandra, and then a crossover again. You don't have one of them, have you?
No, that was probably about my 8th, 9th, and 10th one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
No, I did do that though once. I did do that, but that was a mistake, and I had to get that covered up. I won't tell you where that one was either.
Okay.
Yeah, my first one was I think it was a British bulldog wrapped in an England flag or something. It's a terrible tattoo, but yeah.
Nice stuff to go on holiday and then get beaten up on abroad just because you're English or something like that.
I don't know whether you know it, but I actually used to do tattoos. So one of my mates used to own a tattoo shop, and I paid him to have an apprenticeship as a tattoo artist. And I spent years as a tattoo artist in a tattoo shop. But I got to the point where I either make a career of this or I do something different, and I stepped away. But I kind of regret it sometimes now. I would have loved to sort of been a tattoo artist by day and teach Krav Maga in between and at night. That would have been a great thing.
This is sound like the Joe Rogan podcast, martial artists train by day and podcasting by night, or whatever that is that
Yeah.
Nick Diaz says. You can be the tattoo artist during the day and Krav Maga instructor by night.
And since I tattooed my cousin, who's a really good tattoo artist these days. He's got his own shop, but I tattooed him in the early days. And a little while ago, I was with him. And he's like, "Well, why don't you just?" He's got tattoos everywhere. He's like, "So why don't you just tattoo me now? See how good you are anymore?" I was like, "You don't really want me to do that, do you?" He's like, "Yeah, have a go." So I did. I did one line of a tattoo. I was like, "I can't continue." It was shocking. So it's one of those things that you've got to keep doing and keep your eye in, otherwise you're going to be no good. A little bit like martial arts. You need to keep those tools sharp. You can't put those tools away in the toolbox for too long, otherwise you're going to start losing them. So that's why get online and start training.
Yeah, you can always make the little matchstick man on the guy's back and says, "Here we go, that's a tattoo of an angel." But never mind. The question is, when did you get bald, before or after becoming a Krav Maga instructor? Because it seems to have some kind of a trend around the area there.
Since I was about 15, Joe.
Wow, that was an early. Easy.
I never liked teaching hair grabs.
I guess, yeah. No, the options we can add some modular stuff. We can have big wigs and so, okay, today we're going to teach hair grabs. Off we go. You can grab my blonde hair. Tomorrow we have a Mohican. We do something different. So we have options, make your life much easier.
Yeah, so I think I've had a bald head since I was about 14 years old, pretty much.
Wow, that's an interesting one.
I'm not sure if it even grows through from underneath anymore. I think I gave up. It's not because I'm getting old. It's just like there's no point. I just evolved.
Has evolved. Okay, so let me ask a question. I'm going back to the serious stuff here. Not that tattoos are not serious, but as I'm saying, you know what I mean. Regarding the fact that you had the experience to travel to other countries not far from here, it starts with P, and we did some firearms training over there in Poland. How interesting you think it is to combine firearms training with what we do with Krav Maga? Do you think there's a connection there? Do you think this connection should be right in the beginning when someone is a new student, or this connection should be later when you are towards a more senior student with more understanding of Krav Maga? And then yes, the firearms will be more advisable, if you like.
Well, I think it depends where you want to take it, I suppose. If you want to sort of specialize in something as a coach, then wait till the latter stages of your training. But I think you need to have an understanding. I think you need to have an understanding of the weapon systems early. So we start looking in the curriculum, in the syllabus, if you like, brown belt level about disarming weapons. But from day one, you could turn up to a Krav Maga class and learn it. But I think you need to have some sort of handling skills. So I think everybody needs to get away and do some really basic weapons handling, tuition, get some of those basic skills first. And then if you want to go in a direction where you're going to sort of become an expert in a certain area, like tactical firearms training, that sort of thing, then bring it on later on in your Krav Maga. But it's excellent fun, so.
What I see is I trained martial arts for many years, but there was no mention of firearms. And then I attended instructor certifications for firearms and work in security in Brazil with Army and all that. So very specific. So two different fields with a massive gap in between. So what Krav Maga did, from my point of view, is to connect them to, literally, okay, so you're going to learn how to defend against the gun. The attacker might be carrying a weapon, might be carrying a knife, might be carrying a stick, might be carrying a firearm. So all this from the beginning, as I said, is integrated there. Perhaps not in the same level, not per se the first day in a beginner a trial class. You're going to teach them how to defend against the gun. Not that some of my instructors haven't actually done that already. I was looking from the corner of my eye going, what are you doing? Teaching the guy how to disarm against the gun in a trial class? Are you crazy? So, but no, they got a bit carried away, enthusiastic, have to go there and pull them back again. But example, in Israel is a very unique place, fun enough. I was there many years ago attending my instructor's course, and then in one of the classes in the evening, of course, I used to train for 8 hours during the day and then go back in the evening for more when I could actually walk. And the guy walked through the door literally first day, yep, join in, we are disarming gun threats from the front. And then I looked at the instructor and I was like, how are you going to teach this guy? He says, no, you don't understand. He was in the Army for 3 years. He understands how to handle a gun. He knows exactly how to operate a gun. He knows how to shoot. All I need to show him now is the grabbing, putting the gun away, punch him in the head, pulling the gun. So that's it. My job as an instructor is very easy. And even from that day, it's just back in 2002, that created a massive impression on mine. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So it's different Krav Maga in Israel, Krav Maga here in England, where we don't have any weapons, where the mention in a park that, oh yes, I'm carrying a gun, you know, you're going to have the police there in 5 minutes. And then we go to Poland, for instance, everybody carries expandable batons, open pen knives, and you know, pepper spray, handguns, and you think like, wow, it feels like they are in a completely different planet, not just another country. So how do you see that?
Yeah, well, it's essential to learn those skills. It's essential to learn those skills, and I think if you're gonna be disarming someone with a gun, you need to know the safety around it. So I believe that you've got to get away and you've got to learn these basic firearms training courses. Some of the stuff that I did in the early days, I was excited. I just started Krav Maga, and I've got the option to go away to Poland and learn some sort of tactical firearms training and stuff like that. And we go out there, and some of it was really crazy stuff, and I would never remember it in a million years. Yeah. Yes. It's a real experience. I don't think you need that sort of training to a very, very high level, many years into your sort of Krav Maga training, but the basics, the fundamentals, you know, the weapons handling, understanding of the system, that's essential from the beginning, I believe. I would always recommend all my students to get away from an early point just to understand that sort of thing. If you do get yourself into a situation where you are going to disarm a weapon, very rare, especially in the UK, like you say, but you never know. And we need to we're arming people with these skills. But once you've taken that, if you do take it, what are you going to do with it then? You need to know how to make it safe. Is it safe? Is it not safe? These sort of things are essential skills, I believe.
It's very interesting, especially the don'ts, yeah, the do's and don'ts. That I think that's the best part of it. Okay, very interesting. From your point of view, considering your journey from student to business owner, because I divide this, what we do, in 3 levels. I keep talking about this, but I'm going to talk about this again. From the student point of view, where you attend classes, you pay a fee a month, you have, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes a week. You can train different levels. You're happy with that. Every now and then there's a workshop. I learn extra skills. I get perhaps a T-shirt, a diploma, you know, picture taken, very nice. I will do this again. From the instructor point of view, okay, you spend some time and effort. You got to a level where you've learned, as you said, the more you teach this thing, the more you're going to learn. The more you coach, the more you can improve your skills. I want to learn something from someone, or going to Israel, or bring an Israeli here, or whoever, you know, is going to come and run a workshop for you. And then you learn techniques where you can take it back to your class, teach your students, keep them focused, keep your routine of, you know, the lesson planning and things like that. That is very easy to get locked into, oh, I don't know what to do anymore. As you remember, everyone here, as an instructor, will understand what I'm saying. After week after week after week, you don't even know what you teach anymore, because you became this big one thing. Yeah, it's very hard to remember, oh yeah, there's a little something that I can add, a little point here, a little technique, a little principle. And then comes the hardest one, is when you take the big step and go, by the way, I'm going to open my own place. I'm going to take a lease or something in my name, and I'm going to start now running my own business. That is a completely different point. So from that perspective, if you had to say to Joe that is, you know, here, I will sign up with you today. I want to become a black belt. I want to open my own club. What would be the advice you're going to give to any little Joe like me, for instance?
The advice to give for someone to get from that position all the way to owning a business.
That's right. Yeah, I know. Think about it. Yeah. Have a drink. Yeah.
Well, the way that I do things like this is, if I commit to something, I fully commit, and I'm pretty much got a single track focus, and this is where I'm going, and I don't deviate. So a lot of people around me get fed up with my constant talk about, this is what I'm going to do in my next class with Krav Maga. This is the plans that I've got on the horizon. I'm going to take over the world this way or this way. And I've got that. Once I commit, I commit. So anything that I do. So if I want to sort of, in the past, it was sort of bodybuilding, weight training, running, martial arts in the early days, riding motorbikes fast. Whatever I choose that I'm going to do, I'm going to really put a lot of focus and effort into doing it. And it's a commitment. Okay. And it's not just a dream. on that day one. It's a whole lifestyle. So just to be aware of that, really.
Yes, I mean, from the time you joined Krav Maga, whatever club there was, you can probably tell that you had at least, what, 20, 30 people that joined with you from the white belts, if you like it. How many of them that you know reached a black belt in Krav Maga?
From the people that I knew from day one. So
yeah, let me answer that. Only you.
Yeah, only me so far, and we've got one close to get there soon, who's now a coach with us. So yeah, only 2 out of the thousands of people that I've trained with, I suppose.
Yeah, and if you consider that from when you joined from that group of people to all the other groups that join Krav Maga classes in different clubs and so on, to this point here, you can tell that thousands and thousands of people. But what I see, for instance, as an instructor, I was running a business in London, which is a completely different place because London is insane. People join, but they have no idea why they joined. They are there because they like the T-shirt, or the classes across the street, or a friend told them that it would be nice, come and join me. But they don't have a long-term goal, which is quite interesting. And that's the reason why we came up with the belt system. We have a tag every so many sessions to create this habit, getting people into the routine of have to come and train. You do whatever you want after that, but you come and train. So as I said, progress is better than perfection. So in other words, you keep progressing every day, one step. Give it time. This time, all of a sudden.
That's what I was going to say next. If I look at all the people, we've had, like you have, Joe, many people through the door, many people come in and talk to us about, oh, I want to become an instructor one day, and I want to have my own school, and I want to do this, that, and the other. How many of those people have actually got there? I never really see them make it. The ones that come in from day one with this idea that that's what they're going to do, unless they've had some form of martial arts training before, and they've really been in martial arts for a long time, and they decide that Krav Maga is going to be their discipline and they're going to do this, and they've already got kind of like a base of skill set, maybe a following of people that they train with anyway. I've never seen someone that walks in and says, well, I want to be a black belt and I want my own school, ever get that far. And maybe that's because I'm sort of young. I'm early in my sort of martial arts career, really 8 to 10 years in of taking it really serious. It's normally the guy that turns up on day one, who just turns up to see what it's all about, enjoys it, gets addicted, and then he's there day in, day out. Like me, he never really had a plan on coaching. It was all about him to start off with. Then you become the coach, and then you follow this natural progression. So if it is your plan from day one, then you've got to have that determined personality to get you to that end goal and stick with it and see this progression, like you say, day at a time. But most of the time, those people that get there, they just follow that natural cycle.
It's very interesting. And also, what I realize is that not all the good guys, physically good, skill-wise good. Some is that you barking with a mouth full of water, man? You're very good making all these noises through your nose, eh?
That's my crazy dog, mate.
It's your crazy dog saying, hey, let's get out of here. Let's go for a walk. What I was saying is that many times, even before Krav Maga, karate days, I had this guy once that walked through, we were doing some sparring. The guy stood by the front door, looked at the gym and says, like, yeah, I'm going to join you guys tomorrow. I'm going to come here and beat you up. And he pointed the black belt teaching the class there. And everybody, of course, laughed. You're joking. That was a joke, wasn't it? And he was the only guy who didn't actually laugh. So he walked away. Next day, true to his word, he was there. He signed up. And man, he used to get beaten up like a rag doll. I would try to beat you up, get beaten up back. It kept coming, kept coming, kept coming. So this is the one guy on my group of 50 people that started as a white belt. I'm talking about, my God, what, 20, 30, I don't know, 35 years ago, maybe more. And he's still to this day training, became, as you said, a completely different guy, runs his own business on his own brand of martial art equipment, run classes, became a very high level athlete there. And now he looks back and he laughs about it. So if it wasn't for martial art, if it wasn't for that thing, I would have been probably in jail or dead by now. So, it's interesting to see how people change along the way. As I say, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And I'm a really believer on this kind of stuff here, because we start seeing things every day in classes, in the group, and you change, you improve, and you get better, and you move forward. But it's very nice. Anyone would like to ask a question to Mr. Dan, because he's already sitting there and very uncomfortable thinking, my God, what is the guy's going to ask me again now? Anyone? Now is the time, because we have a few people watching this. Yeah, you can unmute your microphone and ask a question.
No math sums, guys.
Yeah, yeah. No, please don't give me that one. Yes.
Don't give me the maths. Get the calculator out.
So Edward started with a question, but he stopped on what? What? I don't know exactly what he's asking, but it's okay. Okay. So anything specific that you already gave us a little tip for the people that want to join and become Krav Maga instructors? Do you think?
I'm a great believer in visualization, Joe. Yeah. So if you see it and you speak it, it will happen. I think that you've got to have a vision in your mind, and you've got to keep playing that vision, and eventually one day you'll get what you dream, if you put the hard work and effort in.
Okay, very interesting point of view. We share that one too. There's a question here says, so what do you think about the online or the theory of the instructor course? Now he's talking about perhaps the difference between the online training plus the real life, the practical classes, that when we go back to normal. Do you think that's going to be a match between those two? Which I think we already discussed this, that yes.
Yeah. In the short term.
Yeah.
In the short term, there's definitely going to be that sort of combination of the two. And I think one of the reasons that will be is down to this social distancing. Yeah. So we've already been down to our training facility. And if we're looking at sort of giving everybody 2 meters all the way around them with training, we're gonna have sort of 20 people in the class. So it'll be limited class sizes, and then the rest of it will be they'll be live, and there'll be interaction from people training at home with the guys on the mats. So we'll get a good bit of equipment in there to sort of facilitate that. So that you still be able to train with your friends. They'll be in their front room, and then the rest will be in the class, and it'll be kind of it'll all go through our app. And a bit like you see in the other gyms, once it's full up, then you'll be in a pool for the next class, and we'll do it like that. So in the short term, there'll definitely be that combination, and we'll marry the two together, so they're running, at the same time. In the long term, there's definitely room for this this online stuff, online content, live content. So we'll take a positive out of this, and we'll put a spin of whatever we learn from this, and the stuff that we do well and the stuff that's received well, we'll make sure that that's still there for the guys when we go back to normality, whenever that will be. It'll be at some point, but let's see.
Perhaps the normality will have to be rewritten, have to create a new normality. What is a normal? Because we don't know.
What do you think on that then, Joe?
Well, perhaps,
back to you. Are we going to have a new normal in the long term, or will we go back to normal?
Well, I think it's like this. Everything with the media puts their hands, they try to make this horrible, 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 horrible. So when we start looking at the fact that someone who was 95 years old had all sorts of other diseases, and all of a sudden caught a cold and died, so you cannot say that the guy died from the cold, isn't it? Maybe he died from something else. The cold was just a little kick in the back. So I'm not sure. Maybe in 6 months' time, we're going to be hugging and kissing and doing exactly the same thing again. I mean, not us, but yeah, as a general. And we'll just forget about all this. Just like the weapons of mass destruction. Remember them? We never found them.
What are you like at the moment when I passed someone in my car the other day? One of my friends pulled up in the garage, and he's come over to the window. So you wind the window down, and they're right in the window. How are you receiving that? You're like, whoa, get back, fist pump from out there, or how are you doing it?
No, what I like to think is the 2 meters distancing is pretty much what we taught all the time in Krav Maga. So keep the guy away, keep him far away. Yeah. See him from far. In case you need to kick him, there we go. So now, we are there. We are one step ahead of the time. This is what the shooters don't realize, that we knew this from the beginning already. Okay, no, it's just a joke, of course, joking aside. But guys, if you have no questions to ask, I will let Dan relax and go back to his, his dog. We didn't talk about the dogs, but we'll talk about this some other day. What are they called again? Those guys with the funny faces?
I'll show you one quickly.
They look like me, don't they? Like big nose and funny forehead. Look at this. Look at this. I'm sure you made him in your shed, didn't you? You probably manufactured him.
Yeah, English Bull Terriers, Joe.
What are they called?
English Bull Terriers, yeah.
Man,
they share a brain cell between the two of them.
Oh, one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These are the guys that eat the whole sofa when you go out to buy a pint of milk and you come back, there's no sofa there, is it? It's one of them?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Dan, so thank you very much. Thanks for your time. It was great talking to you. It was nice to, hear different things, especially from people watching here today that didn't know you, or even the guys that are used to training with you. But perhaps, again, as I said, when you're on that mindset of Krav Maga, you talk about Krav Maga stuff, and we touch a million other subjects, stuff that we heard during the week. It's like if you're trying to download all that information to the people, and then people are trying to pass more information back to you. And by the time you get home, you don't even remember that stuff again. But with this, we're gonna have this recorded. You can send this to whoever you want to send this later, and we keep it. Let's see if our projections for the future here. A bit of a Joe's trip.
Yeah, cool.
If I can.
Let's get away and go on another mad trip somewhere soon, Joe. I'm looking forward to it.
Man, you have no idea. You have no idea. My bag is already by the front door. Things will happen. When I go somewhere, my wife's gonna kick me out of the house, but I'm not sure. But the bag is ready just in case.
Good stuff. We'll catch up soon.
Man,
cheers,
thank you
Joe.
very much. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, take care.